Quick announcement, guys. Tomorrow, Tuesday, my new book, 2000 Mules, is out. It's the handbook that's sort of a complement to the film. Has a lot of information that goes beyond the film, lays out in pretty systematic detail, perhaps in a more organized way. A film is a narrative, but a book can make a case. And I have a chapter toward the end that in detail rebuts critics by name and looking specifically at what they say about the film. So this is all stuff that you can't get from the movie. So do go for the book. It'll be available Amazon, pretty much everywhere you can get books. And it's published by Regnery and officially out tomorrow. Now, let's talk about Twitter, because the Washington Post has a what was supposed to be a bombshell revelation, which was causing a lot of consternation at the Washington Post and at Twitter. Documents detail plans to gut Twitter's workforce. And it turns out that Elon Musk, in a disclosure to investors, had said or has said that he plans to fire, and get this, 75% of all Twitter employees. Now, Twitter has thousands of employees, well, 7,500 employees. So firing 75% of them would bring Twitter's staff down to just 2,000 employees. Pretty much most people would be canned. Now, you would think that the Washington Post might raise questions about things like, well, is it possible to maintain a large digital platform like Twitter with this reduced workforce? Or are there a lot of people twiddling their thumbs at Twitter? What is, in fact, the optimum workforce for Twitter? But no, the Washington Post doesn't go there. Here's how they deal with it. A change likely to have major impact on its ability to control harmful content, end quote. They're worried about censorship. So here you have the paradox of media organizations that have become vociferous lobbyists for censorship. Why? Because essentially they all have a point of view and they want to shut down the rival point of view. Nothing could be more. Think of how disgraceful this is from the perspective of having discussions, having debate, what the First Amendment is really for. Now, the Post goes on in its article to talk about the fact that these employees are indispensable to Twitter. They quote a bunch of Twitter people. Naturally, this has caused a furor over at Twitter. And Matt Walker, who's a product designer for Twitter, goes on a rampage and he basically blames Jack Dorsey. Quote, every decision Jack has made has gotten us to this point. So he's blaming Jack Dorsey for making Twitter vulnerable to a Musk takeover. I don't think he thinks he can get through to Musk, but he perhaps thinks he could have gotten through to Jack Dorsey. But of course, it's too late. Musk's acquisition is going through. Now, here's another guy. This is Edward Chen, a data scientist who used to be at Twitter. He's now somewhere else. And he says, well, Twitter, these employees have a lot of institutional knowledge, and so firing them is going to cause, quote, going to create demoralization at Twitter and cause other employees to want to leave. And this all brings me to my idea, which is my only critique of Elon Musk, and that is he's not going far enough. Fire everybody. I mean, start certainly with the two kind of destructive Indians at Twitter, Parag Agarwal, who's the CEO. This guy's been a champion of censorship. He says things like the First Amendment doesn't even enter into our decisions. We don't even think about free speech. This is Twitter. And by the way, Twitter thought a lot about free speech and made a lot of proclamations about its fidelity to free speech when it went before Congress begging for Section 230 protection, legal protections. So now suddenly free speech doesn't really matter. These platforms, in a sense, are out in the open. And by the way, Twitter today is better than YouTube, better than Facebook from the point of view of censorship. And then the Washington Post article goes on to talk about the fact that Musk probably paid too much for Twitter, and how some of the other investors who were apparently in Twitter, these are people like Larry Ellison of Oracle and others, that they might not feel that Musk is really paying careful attention to the value of Twitter. Now, I'm sure Musk, like any entrepreneur, does care about this, but does he really care about it that much? I mean, here's a guy who's worth $240 billion. And sure, he's paying, $44 billion for Twitter. But think of it, that's 1/6 of his net worth. Elon Musk can look at this as his contribution to free speech, to preserving a wide berth or a wide parameter of political debate, and not worry too much whether or not Twitter turns in a profit. Now, I think Musk believes that Twitter is undervalued, even though he's paying a lot for Twitter the way it is. The way good entrepreneurs work is they think, this is what I'm buying, but I'm buying it not necessarily because I see it as being the same. I'm buying it to turn it into something else that has actually much greater value. Musk has talked at other times about creating a sort of X app that would include Twitter, but essentially be a one-stop shop for the whole internet. You would do your e-commerce there. You would be engaged in conversations. So it would think of it as YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Amazon rolled into one. What would the value of that be? It would seem that only Elon Musk can see perhaps that far.